Hi gaming guys, and welcome to another special project replica style build, and this particular replica is for a vehicle which has been requested a couple of times, the Jaguar XKR-S GT, the even more hardcore version of the XKR-S, and it's actually gone through a number of different variations. You've got the XK, then the XKR, then the XKR-S, and then this model, the GT. This is the top of the tree, essentially, as far as the XK models go. Now, as far as the visuals, we have made some changes. Not as radical as sometimes, but we have made some changes. So we will go, first of all, to the visual tuning garage to cover those. Then, of course, we'll go to the mechanical tuning garage. And finally, as always, take it out to a track to see what it can do. Now, as far as the visuals on this particular model, I haven't actually fitted the optional body kit because as great as it looks, and it really is a great looking body kit on this car, it's a bit over the top. It's more GT3 car than GT edition, so you don't really want to go too extreme. Likewise, unfortunately, with the flat floor, it just takes it a little bit too far. Now, you could of course fit it if you want to, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. Now, as far as the rear wing, I would recommend changing that. I've gone for a custom rear wing with the Type E wing support, the Type H wing itself, and then Type J winglets. And as far as the size of the wing, I've opted for +5 on width and -10 on height. So a relatively modest sized wing. As far as the rims, we've gone for kind of deep dish 5 spokes, and they're these Enkei RP03s. They're really good looking wheels. I like to use them on a number of my cars. Not usually replicas though, so it's nice to be able to use them on a replica for a change. I've opted not to fit additional meters on this one, but you could fit them if you want to, of course, and they do look pretty good on this car. As far as the colour of the vehicle itself, you've got options, of course. You could change it if you want to. As far as the body colour, I've gone for, obviously, white. I've gone for Scotia white, and the main reason why I've gone for that colour is to keep it simple. It's a colour which is very easy to source, and it's a colour which is affordable. You don't have to buy a ridiculously expensive car to unlock it. You can get it from the Mitsubishi dealership from the older Evos. It's a great looking white. I use it on quite a number of my different vehicles. And as far as the rims, I've gone for, of course, black. And again, the particular black that I've gone for is a popular use of black that I go for, which again is very easy to source, and that is called ebony, which comes from the Jaguar S-Type, which is appropriate to this car. Now, the rims are red, and we haven't upgraded those, so that's just the stock colour, and likewise with the wing, I haven't painted that either. So, as I said, simple visuals, but we did make some changes. And there is room for variation there, as always. So, next up we'll go to the mechanical side of things. Now, as far as the tune setup on this particular model, it is, as I've said before with these builds, always nice to be able to round off the PP as well as just get in the right specs. That always means that you could use it as well as just having it as a nice car. So I've gone for sport soft tyres because it is more of a street-based build. As far as the brakes, as I said just now, we've left those stock for the feeling of authenticity as a street car. For the suspension, we've got the ride height on 100, front and rear. Springs we've increased to 1050 and 875. The dampers to 4. Anti-roll we've left on 3 with neutral camber and toe. We'll come back to the gearbox in just a second. As far as the diff, I've got the lowest initial torque, highest acceleration and braking. But as always, I would recommend changing that around. The handling won't necessarily be for everyone or to everyone's liking, so I would recommend experimenting, find what works best for you. As far as power, the real car has 542 horsepower, so I've gone for an oil change, then the uprated exhaust manifold, and then reduce the power to 93.5%. And as far as weight, you want the stage 1 weight loss, the window weight reduction, and then add 149 kilos of ballast to bring us up to the actual weight of the real car, which is pretty hefty at over 1700 kilos. And I've left that in the central position. We've got maximum downforce, which still isn't really that high, but you work with what you've got. And finally, for the gearbox, we are actually running the real numbers of the actual XKR-S GT's gearbox. Now, in order to get these numbers, you'll need to do a gearbox flip. So for those who are unfamiliar with that, what you want to do is fit the race gearbox or if you've already got one, I would recommend removing it and then refitting it. Bring your auto setting up to 286, then bring your final drive down to 2.7, then come back up to your auto setting, click it down one peg and back up to 286, then you'll be able to reach these individual gears. As I said, these are the gear ratios of the real car, according to the specs that I could find, of 4.17, 2.3, 1520, 1140, 870 and 690, with a final drive of 3.31. So that's it overall for the mechanical replica of the car. Now let's obviously take it out to a track to see just what it can do. Now, if it's your first time viewing one of these replica builds or your first time trying one out, you do need to bear in mind that these cars aren't designed to be as fast as possible or to be perfect to drive. In fact, it's the exact opposite. You don't want these cars to feel too good because they're not supposed to be. They are replicas of real street cars, or in the case of this one anyway, it is of course a street vehicle, so you don't want it to feel like a GT3 car, you don't want it to feel like a race car at all, you want it to feel like what it is, a hardcore street vehicle. An exotic, but not a race car. So overall, if you do decide to use this build, and you'd like to check out more in a similar vein, you can check out the ones which we've already done by checking out the playlist at the end of this video, or of course if you want to see new tunes like this as soon as they're released, you can hit subscribe down below. But for now, as always, thanks for watching.